Hello and welcome to another episode of Mysteries with a History, where I'll take you on a wild ride into the unknown, the strange, and the mysterious. Like you, I have questions, and like you, I want answers. There's more to this world than most think or believe. Mysteries that stretch back into murky epochs of time, that hint of other realms, other worlds, and other intelligences. We're on this journey together. With each episode, we'll peel away the layers to look for the truth. Has there really been a cover up of UFO truths by the US government and other governments across the world? Is it ongoing? What evidence is there for historical and present day cover ups? And most importantly, what possible reasons could there be to hide this information from the public eye? Well, there are a lot of questions that we need to find the answers for. And to help me with that is Jimmy Church of Fade Black Radio. And here he comes. He's putting on his headphones. Let's bring him in. Jimmy. Oh, come on. Turn on your mic.
You got to stop doing that to me.
I told you right before we started, it's going to be a quick intro.
I'm lighting the sage incense to purge my studio of UFO cover-up drama. And
what's the scent for your incense?
Sage.
Oh.
Sage. The scent of sage.
Nice.
Yeah. You don't sage?
Well, I have sage and I have incense, but I've never heard of a sage incense. That's new for me.
See, it combines two into one.
Dang, you can never go wrong with two in one.
Okay, let's light up the chat room really quick. Do you burn sage?
I do.
Yeah, you do, right? Every day? Yeah, you do, right?
Yes, okay. but I mainly burn incense. So I have sage, I have incense, but I usually burn incense.
I do both too. That's very smart. But yeah, I do both every day. And this is what is weird for me. I like the smell of sage. Now we know it's, what it does, to cleanse and purify your environment around you. I just like the smell of it. You know what I mean? And so I burn it. I've got a lot of it too as well. I've got some really good sage, but I do. And how many here? DJ Knight says he burns toast every day.
Nice. I mean, for me, my favorite incense, and I want to hear yours and those in the live chat. My favorite is probably dragon's blood at the moment. I really like the way that one smells.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I have sage, and then I also have what is this? I really like it too.
Overall, you just can't go wrong with burning incense. And because I'm Buddhist and incense burning is part of my day when I do meditation, I've smelled them all.
Yeah, this is cocoa.
Nice.
Right? Yeah, totally. A totally different vibe, and it does kind of smells like burnt hot chocolate. I don't know, but that's a good smell. Like dark coffee. That smell, French roast. It's kind of got that vibe to it. It's a little sweet too as well. I have that. I have sage, and then I have Melchizedek as well over there, and maybe a couple of other things too as well. But yeah, I sage every day. And I would think that most people, especially in our community, do. But let's jump straight into it, can we? There's so much to talk about today. But I have to say this out of the gate. Thank you again for another great idea. You pull it off every single week. Yesterday, you had Brandon Fugel on, and congratulations on that. The scoop is here, well done. And you're just a machine. You're just a
Thank
machine.
you.
Machina. You're just a machine. You're just a machine.
I did like that movie, La Machina. That was pretty good.
Yeah, wasn't it Ex
Y-
Machina?
yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it was. See,
yeah,
I'm not a true fan. I
yeah.
liked it, but I guess not that much.
It was really good. Have you seen? I was just going to bring this up. Have you seen The Sandman?
No, I haven't. But I
Okay,
like the song.
okay. There's some things that relate actually about the song in the TV series, but check it out. It's on Netflix, and that's all I'm going to say. But it's very creative and very, very, very cool. And there's a baby dragon. Spoiler
Aw.
alert. Okay, so Mama Dragon had an egg, and this little baby dragon pops out. He's called a gargoyle, right? little dude. Anyway, everybody go and check out The Sandman. I think that our community is going to be chatting about that for quite a while. It's really cool. But what a great subject today.
Yeah, seriously, a lot to cover. And while a lot of the cases that we've done in depth on this show kind of talk about cover ups, we will be revising some of them and looking at some new ones as well. But for this particular topic, we can't avoid Roswell. We can. We have to talk about it. I know everyone's heard about it. People probably rolling their eyes are like, oh,
No,
Roswell.
not at all.
Well,
Not at all. Not
that's
at all.
kind of where the protocol for cover ups started.
Yes. Yes.
Roswell, New Mexico in 1947.
Okay, and let's jump into that first. But you bring up a really good point. Are you suggesting that when somebody brings up Roswell, do you roll your eyes? Do you go, "Oh man, not again"?
I don't because I'm still so new to the field that if I hear Roswell, I'm like, I'm listening. I'm ready to learn something new because it seems that information is resurfaces from time to time.
Back in the day, I I was buying every book that I could. This is, obviously before the internet. Yes, I'm that old. There was a time. And so I had, and I still have them, stacks of Roswell books, and they were coming out like every couple of months, and new researchers, new this, new that. And I'm reading every single one. And Christina, as I live and breathe, I'd be reading the book. I'm going, did I already read this book? Right? I've read this, right? And it got to the point where the information, and after you go through a dozen books, right, in a couple of years,
Right.
3 years, that the information is overlapping, and even a new book from the same author, things will get repeated and reviewed, and I hadn't, I'm constantly scratching my head and having to go back and oh no, wait a minute, no, I just bought this book. I couldn't have read it. Did I buy it before? It was like that for me. But what it allowed me to do, and I think a lot of us, which is why we constantly revisit Roswell constantly, is to keep the information in your head, right? Just keep it coming. Just keep reading. If it's repeating, then you're retaining it and you're retaining it. That's why we have to go back and we have to revisit Roswell all the time. And I love doing it. Every time that I, have Don Schmidt on the show, or Don Carey, or Linda Moulton Howe, even Stanton Friedman, when he was alive, to go back and go over everything from A to Z. Let's do it again, because even they relay information that they haven't said in a long time, and it gets back out, or maybe it's new, and you have to do that. So yeah, revisiting Roswell is very, very important for all of us.
It is, and I haven't done a show on Roswell yet because, there are so many shows and documentaries already about it. But for my younger viewers and younger newbies to this topic, I think we should do it. Maybe in September we'll do a Mysteries with a History on it.
Sure,
You down?
sure. Oh yeah, man. What did I just say? What did I
Well, I
just
still
say?
gotta ask permission just to make
What
sure
did
in
I
case you change your mind. But
we
Michael, Thank you so much. It says, "Hi, I'm back to join you live after great games in Birmingham. Do you think false news is part of the cover up of facts?" Jimmy,
Uh,
I'll let you answer that one first.
well, okay. Well, yes, of course. Yes, of course. The whole trick to this is discernment. And I think that today we all know, no matter who you are, where you come from, what your background is, that getting real news is harder and harder to do. And so it's up to us to put the lens on, the big D, discernment, and try to see through the mucky muck and then try to get through. Because I think that mucky muck is a journalistic term. Is that for all of the false news, fake news, whatever you want to call it, misinformation, disinformation, there are kernels of truth. There are some fact in there, and you have to get to that. Without that, if it's just 100% completely made up, then you can just call it satire or comedy. But if you have a nugget in there that is real, then that gives everybody the ability to go, yeah, I guess if that's true, then the rest of this must be true. And that is the art of disinformation and misinformation and false news and misleading and heading people down certain paths. But we all know that today. Everybody knows that. But here's the situation. Why is it that people don't care? Why isn't there more outrage about this? Because you can take a UFO story, a UFO headline, and go to 4, 5, 6 different media outlets and see how they cover it, and it's all going to be a little bit different. So
Right.
what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? So yeah, we got to have those discernment glasses on all the time.
And that's where it's difficult. And we know that Richard Doty has come out. He was a disinformation agent, and he said, "Well, when I was working alongside Paul Benowitz, it was a high percentage of disinformation and just a little bit of fact."
Right.
And the fact that he said that, Richard Doty, says something, meaning that maybe a lot of the stories that we look at, if not all of them, follow that same type of protocol. Then we have to decide, just like you said, what's fact and what's fiction. And you're going to have so many different camps on what they believe to be true.
And so here's the situation. Even with somebody like Doty, who, by the way, I've had a lot of anger with Richard built up over the years. He knows this. We've sat and talked about it many times. But as putting that aside, he's a pretty fun dinner guest. Okay, he really is. He can sit and he's just talking. You're like, man, he's not that bad. And then you go, wait a minute, that's his job to suck me in, right? And so, but so what do you do with somebody that is a professional at this, at misleading the government and with cover-ups and misdirection, like a Richard Doty? Then how do you trust what they say today? Where they, well, yeah, I made that up before, but now I'm telling you the truth. Are you? And so what do you do with that? And I have literally said this to Richard directly, and I introduced him at a conference or two, I think, for sure at one, and did a lot of hanging, and I was uncomfortable with that. It's like, do I really want to introduce? And then you go out and you have pizza and beer with him, and he's just a totally likable guy, and that's his job.
It sounds like a mentally abusive relationship kind of deal. You're like walking on eggshells and you don't know what to trust and what to believe or even how to speak. Nature Cam HD, thank you so much for the super chat. It says a contribution to your RV fund. Thank you. Love your show. New school meets old school. Christina and the Wolfman rule.
I'm new school. I'm
What?
new school. I'm new school. You're old school. I'm new school, right? I'm hip and fresh and to the curb. right?
Thank you so much, Kate, for the super sticker. Also, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so let's stay on this for a second.
Okay.
Back to Roswell.
Yes.
The facts of the case are out there. Anybody can go and check that out. But for all of you, when you go and go, jump down these rabbit holes, and you do this with Roswell, there's so much information out there.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, I think it hinges on one key thing. Not all the witnesses, not this, that. No, none of that. It's the press release from Roswell Army Airfield, and how the way that that was written, was approved, rewritten, checked, double checked, quadruple checked before it was released to the public. And the atmosphere of the state of New Mexico, all the way to Roswell Army Airfield, it was the most secret, most smart, the brightest minds, physicists, scientists, thinkers from around the world, all lived in New Mexico. You had Los Alamos, of course. You had White Sands. You had Roswell Army Airfield, and the secretest of the secrets were all there. So for a press release to come out like that in that atmosphere, 2 years after, year and a half, 2 years after World War II ended, and we're in a nuclear race with Russia and the rest of the world, this press release was done with intention. It was done perfect, and was signed off from high above and then released out. That press release says it all. And that, not only does it sum up what Roswell was about, but the government at that time was dealing with something that they didn't know how to do, and so they decided to tell the truth out of the gate. and that's the truth. But day number 2 is when the cover-up began.
That's right.
Day number 2, and here it is, right here. This is not only such an extraordinary front page article, but every reporter, every journalist in the country was on their way to Roswell. They had booked flights. They were in cars. They were walking. Everybody was going to Roswell, and they had to stop it. So the next day, when they did the weather balloon, release, it said nothing to see here, all those reporters turned around and went home. We were literally hours away from this thing becoming crazy town.
Oh, yeah.
And the government decided at that point, although it was the White House and on down, this has got to get squashed. And this is where the art of the cover-up started. They learned a lot from that. We can't go with the truth. We've got to go with this. And from that point forward, everything followed the same rules, Cristina. And so for everybody out there, just go and read the press release, read the original Roswell Daily Record article, and learn how it was done, and then how it was flipped over the next day. That is the essence of a cover-up.
That's what makes this story so complex, because not only did they change their story once or twice, then when Stanton Freeman came along and revisited the story, which Dan James had mentioned, then the story changed a little bit more, and then we had the government writing books about Roswell stating case closed. No, something weird going on here. Dan says the Roswell cover-up was so well done that no one spoke about it for 40 years, no articles, no interviews, nothing, until Stanton brought it back to life. And you are so right on that.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. And it is so correct that you can go and look at, review, read, check out anything you want from 1947, July 8th or 9th or 10th, when the weather balloon story came out.
Yeah.
From that point all the way to Stanton Friedman, any media, any documentary, any movie, any radio program, any television show, anything, anywhere, any book, there was no mention of Roswell. Long John Neville, who had the biggest radio show in the country with the Party Line out of WOR in New York, one of the most, if not the greatest, paranormal radio show ever, bigger than Coast. And he was the guy. And on that show, he had everybody. He had Kehoe on that show, Arthur C. Clarke, Ivan Sanderson, on and on. Just everybody that was anybody about the UFO story and research. And here's the deal: they covered Nazi UFOs. They covered every UFO sighting in the country. They covered Foo Fighters. They covered every angle, everything that happened everywhere except Roswell. Except Roswell. And when we talk about, the creation of the word flying saucer, in
Right.
Seattle and Tacoma, Washington, we can talk about that. We can talk about the different incidents in different locations around the country, sightings, and everything was brought up on that show from every angle, abductions and just everything, anything that you could think of. And no Roswell. And I went and I listened to every show. You would think, right, that somebody would have remembered the newspaper article. Somebody. They're all great researchers. Donald Kehoe didn't recall it. That's how effective the cover-up was. And I think a lot of people in 1980, 81, 82, 83, as this story started to break, with William Moore and of course Stanton Friedman and others, Ken Randall, the public never. It was like, wait a minute, what happened in 1947? What nobody knew.
No one remembered. The story wasn't passed down because we are aware when Mac came back, right? He was telling the story, Mac Brazel. He stated that I was practically threatened. There was no way I was going to tell the story. Actually, I redacted my story saying it was UFOs and aliens came, to the point where like, oh no, it was just my mistake.
They bought him with the new pickup truck.
That's right. And there was probably a few others that were bought as well. Laszlo says, why would you put out any press release at all if it was a Mogul balloon? You wouldn't put anything out, like nothing happened.
Exactly.
Let's talk about that project.
Well done, Laszlo. Laszlo, you're hired. That was well done. But that's exactly the point. I mean, here we've got a lot of other stuff we need to cover, but Roswell is so important. Now, I just mentioned, Cristina, just absorb this thought for a second, okay? Just stay with me. You have nuclear bombs being designed and tested, missile test ranges. You had the only nuclear weapons in the world there at Roswell Army Airfield. It wasn't even the Air Force yet, right? So if you have all of this knowledge and all of this secrecy, you have the smartest. If you are a janitor at Roswell Army Airfield, you've got a security clearance, right? And everybody knows their stuff. But apparently they don't know a weather balloon from a flying saucer.
That's an insult.
That's crazy to me. And but yet they wanted to push that on the public, that this is the story and that's it. There's nothing to see here. And then they completely squashed it.
Right. I mean, and they took notes to the point where if anything else that happened that was very similar to Roswell, they would follow the exact same protocol, except they wouldn't tell the truth the moment it comes out. right? They had the cover up story already prepared.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, for me, it's that original press release written by Hout at Roswell Army Airfield. That again, you don't in the military, you don't make decisions. You know who makes decisions? Like a 5-star general or 4-star general or whatever. That's who makes decisions. You don't make decisions. Everything is shot up, signed off, signed off, signed off, and then you get it. That's the way it is. It is sanitized. It is poured over, and that's it. And especially something coming from the military going to the independent press. And in the world of secrecy that we were going through back then, not only the Cold War, but we had spies all around the world. We were still recovering from World War II, and nobody trusted anybody. So when you're going to release something like this to the public, to the press, you know it is poured over and signed off because that's exactly what they wanted to get out there. To do a flip flop the next day, that's a cover up.
And as you said a little bit earlier, that story changed multiple times throughout the decades. There wasn't really a consistent story until Stanton came along and attempted to find the truth and doing extensive research, and then he was able to kind of see all these little tidbits of how many times that story had changed. But even when we talked about Rendlesham Forest a few weeks back, we were aware that John Burroughs' medical records were kept confidential when it was believed that he had radiation poisoning, where there were just certain things that were so extensive in his body that could not merely be explained for a conventional means, to where if he had to go to the doctor to go ahead and get a checkup, the nurses and the doctors were not able to get a hold of his medical records. There wouldn't be a plausible explanation for that. If anything, you want to keep your men safe, right? If you're a part of the military, you want to keep them healthy, you want to keep them ready for battle, whatever that situation may be.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it's dangerous. It is dangerous to go ahead and keep medical records confidential if you're aware that they are dealing with health side effects, if you are aware that they're incredibly sick. And I think that in itself is also a type of cover up.
Yes, and Rendlesham was from the exact same playbook as not only what they learned from Roswell, but look at Project Blue Book. Every step of the way, everything was explained away by something ridiculous. Swamp gas. It's Venus. It's birds. And what was Rendlesham? A lighthouse, right? It's straight from the Roswell playbook.
It's so insulting to say that to military officials that have been on the base for years. Not just a day or two, but like literally years. To be like, oh no, you're mistaken. It was a lighthouse. Come on, give me a break.
Well, and here's the situation, especially when we're dealing with the military, the civilian stuff from Project Blue Book. Let's pin that to the wall for a second. But when it comes to Rendlesham or Roswell or Malmstrom and the countless other military encounters with something that can't be explained, there is a serious amount of paperwork that is there. Stuff is filed. You have debriefings, you have interviews, and whatever
testimonies.
Data that is collected too as well. Radio transmissions, radar, all of that with the military goes into the cover-up file. That's it. That all of that stuff needs to stay suppressed and it stays in the background. And that includes Rendlesham. Rendlesham wasn't in 1850. Okay. Rendlesham was in 1980. That's a modern event with Roswell, everybody's dead. Like Momo. They're dead. I get that. They've died. The witnesses are gone. That's not with Rendlesham. Everybody can step forward right now and talk about it, from the deputy base commander on down. It's a modern event. We have a modern paper trail, and that includes the United Kingdom as well as the United States Air Force and the CIA and the FBI and anybody else that was involved with the case. So all of that is there. They chose to go the lighthouse route and let that be the story, instead of bringing everything forward. You know that there's a mountain of paperwork. To have John Burroughs, his medical records classified from himself. Now, if you're going to classify somebody's medical records, which is strange, just right there on the surface. But if I get sick and I go to a doctor, they need to see my stuff, right? That's it. And I can't do that. I mean, are there certain fundamental rights as a citizen, not only of the United States, but of the world, that your medical records?
You would think so.
Yeah.
You would think so, but I guess when the military is conducting cover-ups, they'll do it at all costs, no matter who is going to feel the consequences.
Do you know what it took to get those uncovered and to get out in the open?
Do you know the story?
Senator John McCain.
That's right.
John McCain. And how crazy is it? John McCain being not only a veteran, but a surviving POW, right? That was tortured for years. And he understands the Veterans Administration and the Office of Veterans Affairs and what it's like to navigate that and to stay, to take care of your health and to navigate the Veterans Administration, which is a tough thing to do at any level. You always need representation. He understood that. And when he found out that Burroughs, who had medical issues, serious medical issues, that his medical records were classified, well, that was the right guy at the right time to do this, which is John McCain, and got his office on it, and everything was allowed to move forward. And of course, John got his records back, won his case, and was able to get the medical operations. He had some serious stuff done to get healthy again, and he's still paying the price of Rendlesham to this day.
Deranged Lunatic, thank you so much for the super sticker. And Charles says, hey, bring on disclosure.
Right on. Right on. Is that the same as Oscar Myers? See, that's
no, see, it's Mayers.
Mandela effect. That's Mandela effect. How do you spell Oscar Mayer? And is there an S? Is it with an A? Is it with an?
Okay. Now I'm definitely second guessing myself.
Yeah. Go ahead, look it up. Go ahead, look it up. Look it up. My baloney has a last name. It's.
I don't know the song. I'm not there yet.
Man, I'm ancient. I'm ancient. My baloney has a first name.
It's Oscar Mayer. Mayer.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it quite pronounced that way.
Well, that's how I'm reading it. I'm reading it exactly how it's spelled, but it's pronounced Meyer, but it's spelled Mayer.
Man.
Now we know.
No, it used to be spelled.
That was a really fun episode that we did. Yeah. I really enjoyed that one and playing that game. For those that haven't watched that show, watch it. We get to play a game, and who doesn't love games?
I'm still getting email about Sammy Hagar. I cracked a little joke. It was just a little joke that there's a rumor, Mandela effect, that Sammy Hagar was in Van Halen. He replaced David Lee Roth, right? And I'm still getting email. I got more email today. Dude, man, here's photographs of all of my CDs. I saw Sammy Hagar sing in the band. I was there. I'm like, it was a joke. It was a joke. Okay. Okay. So Rendlesham cover up 100%.
Right. And then we even have, and I think for every single show, I have to bring up this one case, my favorite case. Guess what that case is, Jimmy? Guess what my favorite UFO case is? And we have to bring it up.
Your favorite UFO case?
Yeah. It's a flap.
Japan Airlines.
No, I like that case. It's not my favorite.
Okay, it's not your favorite.
Come on, we're doing this for a year, Jimmy. You should know this. You should know this.
Travis Walton.
No, you're joking with me.
Is it? Hold on, I got it. I
You
got it.
know this one.
Cabo San Lucas in Mexico.
Also, no.
What?
Those in the live chat, those that have seen our shows where I always mention, this is my favorite case. What case is that?
Somebody just said Cash Landrum, and that's a great guess. But
That's
not
a great case. It's a great case, but it's not my favorite.
Not
I'll give you a hint. It's a UFO flap. It lasted 6 months. It's in South America.
right.
Skyhawk got it right. Yes, Colares, Brazil. My favorite case of all time, and we are going to talk about it because there was also a cover up involved in that story.
It was all a cover up. What do you mean
The
a cover up? The whole thing was a
The
cover up.
entire thing.
It's one of the great cases in UFO history, no doubt about it. It's something that has just fascinated me, and from the first time that I had heard about it, which was all fresh news back then, because I'm old. But I remember when it was like breaking news, and but let's talk about that for a second. What happened?
Let's talk about it. But because Skyhawk got it right, let's address this one comment that he made, stating the Rendlesham Forest incident was 3 days before the Cash Landrum coincidence? I think not. And Skyhawk, you bring up a really, really good point. And the Cash Landrum case had radiation effects, but so did John Burroughs, demonstrating long-term health effects, maybe due to the radiation. So is there a connection there? Jimmy, what do you think?
I do think that. I went and Skyhawk, thank you for that. Was that his picture? Is that what he looks like?
Yeah, nice guy.
Let me see this. Let me see that again. Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I had a whole nother image of him. A whole nother. Okay, is I have it in show notes somewhere. Maybe at one point I'll pull it up. But I had a list of, it was about 100 UFO sightings that were close together in dates, right? 1 or 2 days apart. I'm on the same day, a month apart, I think was as far as I went. But I tried to stay within like 2 or 3 days together. I had like 50. And you go through and you're like, stop. Is this a coincidence? No, I simply don't think that it is. And especially today, Cristina, we are in an internet world and we're used to, cell phones going off and news alerts and being able to, get the breaking news from around the world, either through news media or through social media in an instant. But it wasn't that way, believe it or not, in the 60s, 70s, and in the 80s, and in the 90s. It wasn't that way. We didn't have internet on your cell phone.
Which you take everywhere with you. There's no exceptions. You take that thing everywhere.
Yeah, cell phones are one thing. Internet on your cell phones, that was a whole nother thing. That was 2005, 2006, 2007. iPhones didn't come out until 2012. So you really think about that. So it wasn't that people had heard the breaking news and then went out and made something up, or maybe thought that they saw something, or let their imagination go away with them. No, I believe that these incidents were happening in or around the same time for a reason, which goes back to what happened in June and July of 1947, because you had four significant UFO events within a week. You had the Rhodes UFO in Phoenix, Arizona. And those photographs, which still to this day, I think are some of the most amazing UFO photographs ever. You had Maury Island, you had Mount Rainier, and you had Roswell, all within a week. That's what, coincidence? I just don't think so. And especially when you look at the Rhodes photographs and you think about what was witnessed in Washington and flip that around to Maury Island and then Roswell, all very similar, and nobody was talking to each other. Didn't have it. Didn't have the ability to do it.
Wasn't a thing back then. I mean, snail mail. I dread sending paper mail. It takes forever. Charles says, did you guys hear about when it was raining blood in India?
When
No.
was that?
Yeah, that's a good question. When was that? I haven't heard that.
What? Raining
scary.
blood in India?
And thank you so much for the super chat.
That's not real.
I'm not sure. Hopefully we can get an answer to that because I've never heard of it and I like to know the date and the details and
I'm going to give it to you right now.
everything else between.
Okay, what's the next case?
The next one, well, we didn't talk about Colares, Brazil yet. I mean, we said the title, but we didn't talk about it.
I asked you for the breakdown and you blew me out.
So with this case, for those that don't know about it, watch the show. I'll place a link in the description box below once this show is over because the show is live. But this one, we are dealing with the military coming in after a good amount of time where the townsfolk were completely terrorized with these UFO craft coming every single night between 7 and 8 p.m. for 6 months. Military comes in, they speak to really the only doctor in the town, and they said to her, all right, you're going to tell everyone it's a mass hallucination. Nothing is going on here. You have to tell everyone that. And she stated, are you joking? People are coming into my clinic sick. That's mass hallucination to where it's not just 10 people, it's hundreds of people, to the point where a little bit after she had her own experience. But not just that. We are aware in these encounters, 2 people, not one, but 2 people died. That is incredibly rare when it comes to any UFO encounter. That's a very rare detail to go ahead and present to anybody. And because the doctor in the town wasn't able to care for these people that were dying as if they were in a type of rigor mortis type thing, they had to be sent to a nearby town. They later died. Their death was unknown, and really the records were classified after that. Now, it was just a casual method of how they passed away. Those records would have absolutely no reason to be classified. But because it was related to this UFO flap, they became that way, and there was no known explanation to how they passed. Pretty weird.
Yes. Okay. So, I'm just Cristina, you're excellent when you're passionate about something. Your knowledge of this case, but here's the thing: every media outlet was there.
Yep.
Right. So there was that part of it. But when the cover-up started from the military, the media went along with it. Nobody followed up. Nobody continued to push the story. It went out in the media with a big splash, like Roswell, right? Like other things, for a minute. But once the cover-up started, I think the media bears a lot of responsibility here. This is all right. Look, this is where the misinformation comes in. This is where the disinformation comes in. Too many responsible media outlets, or no, let me say responsible media outlets. There's a paradox. But a responsible journalist, right, will buy the story that is fed to them when it comes to these words. It's in the interest of national security, right? And that's right. So you hear that and you're like, oh man, I got to back off, right? This is national security. There's something else here, and they're not telling me the truth right now. But now I can't even mess with this because what if it really is? What if it is something else? What if it really is this? What if it is that? And they back off the story. And this happens over and over again. And it's very easy to do. No matter what the situation is, Can't talk about it. You can't go there in the interest of national security. What's the interest? Well, you'll never know. And once that label is put on it, everything just stops. And that's what happened in Brazil. And that's what happened pretty much with every case when the cover-up starts. It's that it's in the interest of national security.
It is. Michael answered that question about raining blood in India. Thank you so much, by the way. It says raining blood is a weather phenomenon, not real blood, but red rain, which looks like blood.
See, that's a cover-up. That's a cover-up. Is it typo? Is it typo negative blood raining? It's happened quite a few times. I looked it up, but the reddest, rainiest one was in 2001. Lots of articles about it. Yeah, absolutely.
And then you have blood falls in Antarctica. That's pretty wild. We talked about that.
Well, how many times have you heard the river runs red? Right? Have you ever seen? Okay, hold on a minute. Stop. Pump the brakes. I just remembered something. Have you ever heard of red tide?
No.
Okay, great answer. Great answer. Because I'm 14 years old, 15. I'm at a party on this island in.
You went to parties when you were 14?
And are you talking? I was disco, man. I had my silk shirt. And so I'm at this party. And somebody comes running in. Now, I'm new to Panama. I've been there for maybe 6 months. Don't really know a whole lot. I know that the Pacific Ocean is right here. I can look out the windows of this home and see. Somebody comes running in and says, "Hey, it's red tide. Everybody come on." I was like, red tide? What is that? So we go out of the house right down to the edge of the Panama Canal. This house was there was a road across the road, 50 yards away, if that. We go down and it's red tide, but it's not red. I don't know why they call it red, because it's glow in the dark. It's glowing water, like glow sticks, that green blue color that glows in the dark.
Yeah, of course.
Right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's the ocean. And I'm standing there and I'm looking out at this fluorescent Pacific Ocean. It was the craziest thing that I have ever seen. And and everybody was talking about it. And then it turns out, I believe octopus eggs, like by the trillion zillion.
This is so random.
Yeah. Have you looked this up?
No, I haven't, but we can do an entire show on weird ocean things. But my question for you, Jimmy, is if there is a cover up, and let's assume for the sake of the show there is, why would there be a cover up? And I know that it's subjective on what the actual truth is, right? But those of you in the live chat, what do you think also? Jimmy, why would there be a cover up?
Why? There's 50, maybe 100, maybe 1,000 reasons for the cover up. Depends on the individual cases. But I would say the overarching reason for cover up, no matter what it is you don't want our adversaries to know what we know. Just right there. Okay, so whatever it is, aliens, contact, technology, crash retrievals, flying saucers, whatever it may be, you don't want our adversaries to know. So you have that right there. So that's like one main reason. And if you think about it, I mean, if you admitted to having a crash flying saucer, how about a flying saucer that was just given to us, right? Not a crash retrieval. How about a trade? How about a trade in, right? And we got a flying saucer for a hot cup of faded black blend coffee. See, to an alien, that's a pretty good deal, right? What are you hearing? Thunderstorms?
I thought it was thunder, and I got
Yeah,
excited because
I heard.
I would pause the show to watch Father Ted. I'm just
I
kidding.
I, I
I'm
heard the
just kidding.
same thing. I heard the same thing. I heard you watch you react. I mean, it could be something as simple as that. But would you want Russia or China or anybody else to know? Think about what not what would happen on the surface, but think about the amount of secret agents that would be flooding in or surfacing to get into these facilities and to find out. It would just be crazy.
Well,
So
it sounds kind of like in the TV show Project Blue Book. Have you seen that show when it was hosted by the History Channel?
no, what's Project Blue Book? Of course, I watched that. I watched every episode. I did a review of every episode.
It
I
was
did
so
more reviews of that than you've done on Skinwalker Ranch. Okay, but
what?
here's the thing. It's a lot. But here's the other part. And I used to agree to this a lot because it's dogma. Panic in the streets,
Mm.
right? And there is a lot of truth to that. Most people out there aren't as stable as you and I in this audience where we talk about this all the time, and we're not going to get freaked out if something happens. We're just not. But that's not the world in general. I think that today they could accept it. But could you imagine the Vatican or Islam or Christianity 50 years ago finding out about ET and contact and visitation and UFOs are
It
real?
was a different world then.
Different world. So I understand that sliver of the cover up too as well. So there are many reasons for it, and now the third reason for the cover up, which is their own doing, it's their own fault, is now if they don't cover it up, then they've got to address everything else, right? And decades and decades of lies and misinformation will all have to bubble to the surface. They're going to have to talk about that.
And
So that
maybe we're at that point right now where we've now seen the UAP preliminary report that was released in 2021, where we're beginning to see UAP hearings, where we're beginning to see more US politicians being vocal about this. Maybe it's because we've come to the boiling point, literally, where the lid is just kind of beginning to shake and at any point it could fall off. Or is it all by design?
it's the there's a part. I'll tell you why it may be by design. Let's when we have somebody like Bob Lazar, who I have flip flopped on many times in my own mind over the years. But let's a situation like Bob Lazar, and he brings up this element 115, right? Okay, it didn't exist back then on the periodic charts, and then it was added to the periodic charts, and it's unstable and was only able to be around for millions of a second or whatever it was, but its half life and things. It's unstable. But he's talking about having buckets of it in under his bed. So how real is that? Well, what if so an element like that, if it was stabilized, and now we have the question of possibly free energy, abundant situations, and maybe a nuclear fusion or some kind of propulsion system that he talked about in these spaceships. But you can apply that to what? Planes, trains, automobiles, boats, cars, right? Whatever. And now what if we, with the James Webb telescope, what if with the Perseverance rover, what if with our exploration of the solar system and deep space, what if we find a meteor, an asteroid made of 115, right? Now, what do we do? Now, was that a cover up with Bob Lazar? Was he telling us the truth the whole time? See, right now, there is no element 115, right? You see, it's on paper. Now, does the government have to come out and admit to the truth, right? That there is stable, that this is one example of why the cover up will always continue, because if it involves free energy and something that could solve the world's food, heating, electricity, education. Imagine if we could build schools and heat them and cool them and supply them with electricity forever. Right now, just forget about the fields of food, right? Forget about what about our kids? And what if that could have been done this whole time? And do you think the governments of the world, including the United States, would come clean about that? No. And that's why the cover up will simply have to continue. Otherwise, the balance of everything, it's anarchy in the streets. You would be the first person, Christina. You'd be out there tipping over cars. You would. Think of the protest. Think about the emotion that would be stirred. You'd be taking your RV, crashing through the gates of Area 51. You would. You would. And so many others. And I'm telling you, I would too. I would not be happy.
No. Daniel brings up a really good point, and he says, why only address the government's practice of secrecy? What about the non-humans? Why do they keep it secret? I don't buy on agreement between the two.
Well, let me ask you this, Christina. What secret do you think Daniel's talking about that ET would be keeping from us? I don't think they're keeping secrets.
Well, maybe it's that we're being visited. And like, why are the visitors staying detached? I mean, is there a quarantine going on here?
Oh, see, I read that differently.
Oh, okay.
That the aliens were keeping their information secret. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know if and before we get into the laws of Star Trek, before we get into any of that, do you really want to interfere with the culture's development, right? At any level?
It's a valid question.
Yeah, there are indigenous cultures on this planet that are hands off.
Yep.
They're hands off. We are not allowed to interfere. Yeah, there's Monkey Island, right? You can't interfere with the monkeys on Monkey Island. You got to let them, and so. But there are indigenous cultures still, believe it or not, on planet Earth that have never seen an airplane, never seen a car, never seen haven't seen any technology at all. Why would we do that? Why would we interfere in what they are doing? And I think that applies to anything else that we would encounter, and it also applies to them with us. If we think that way, don't you think that they know that we couldn't handle information, right? And it's really that simple. And if there was an exchange of information that would stay within the government, maybe some things are meant to be kept secret. I don't know, but that's certainly the way people would think. I mean, those that are in power, I should say.
There's something I want to bring up that I think is going to go in so smoothly with what we're talking about. But Dan says, I think the reason has changed over the decades on the story of the cover up. And I agree with that. I think as time has progressed.
That's how I point down there. I got to point the opposite. Dan James is smart.
He's spot on. Not in person, no.
He's from Australia.
I know.
So I go into a bar.
This is a bar joke?
Yeah. I go into a bar, sit down, start talking. And this guy at the bar turns around and says, what's up, mate? Can I buy you a beer? And I said, sure. And he goes, Dan James from Australia. I said, get out of here. Yeah, man, I flew in. Shut up. And we sat for like 4, 5, 6 hours. We ate like 3 meals and drank all night. True story. I couldn't believe it. He's just sitting at the bar.
That's funny.
Man, it's a very smart guy, but pretty good looking too.
There you go.
Yeah. Not Dan. You're not what you sound like on the internet. Okay.
So, talking about the cover up and maybe some people that might have their hands full on this, I want to talk about my other absolutely favorite alleged story. I'm going to let you guess this one, and you only get 2 guesses.
Kecksburg.
No, it's related to a person, a president, cough, cough. It's one of my favorite cases.
President Nixon, Homestead Air Force Base.
No. Those in the
Uh,
live chat. Okay. Who was a person allegedly who could have interacted with extraterrestrials and had a meeting?
Bill Clinton.
No, Eisenhower. Okay, good guess.
Eisenhower.
So,
Oh yeah, that case. Right down the street from my house. How trippy is that? Right
very.
here. Right over there.
I can't believe you got it wrong, Jimmy.
Come on, I gotta mess with you. I gotta
My
keep
heart.
on their toes.
We're
Look,
like
look at everybody's guesses here.
the
Nixon.
Eisenhower. No, I'm seeing is the right answer, and that's Eisenhower. But talking about this alleged, and I really want to emphasize alleged meeting because there were 2. Was it because of Eisenhower that there are a bunch of abductions and cattle mutilations in exchange for advanced technology? Well, this is what a lot of people in the field and conspiracy theorists believe. I think it's a possibility. And I think that when we talk about the cover up, we have to bring up President Eisenhower. It's a necessity.
Okay, but this is where Mark Tasaka. This is how.
Thank you.
This is how. And please learn from what I'm about to do, Christina.
All right.
Take notes. This is how you offend the entire world. Right now, with my answer to that. Are you ready?
No.
What's the alternative? If Eisenhower doesn't make the deal, ET does it anyway. That's a fact. What? We're going to stop him? What? With guns? Stop. Right? What? Somebody that has just, flown across the universe, interstellar space travel, arrives here on planet Earth, and we're going to tell them, no, you can't do that. No. So what's the alternative? So if Ike had to make a deal, he made the deal. Was it an exchange? Did he get something out of it? Well, let's hope that he did, because he didn't have to get anything out of it. E.T. would have done it anyway. That's like, how often did you go out with a butterfly net and catch butterflies when you were a little girl? Do you ever catch butterflies?
Sometimes.
Sure.
But
Didn't you think about what you were doing with the little butterfly babies that didn't see their mom come home that night because you took one home and pinned it to a wall and in your bedroom for your butterfly display on corkboard? Did you consider what you did? You were breaking up families, man. Right? But it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. And so to put us at the level of, well, wait a minute, you're talking about butterflies, you're talking about bugs in the rainforest. What would that matter? We do it with monkeys and apes and dogs and horses and everything else, like kangaroos, anything else that we can grab from the wild and pop into a zoo.
right.
We do it. We do it all the time. And we don't care about breaking up families. And think about that. And so with ET, no matter how smart we like to think that we are, but if you're traveling across interstellar space, how do you look at us? How do you do that? How do you observe planet Earth? I mean, if Cristina, if you and I were going across, this is why Ike made the deal. If you and I were going across interstellar space and we arrive at a planet that is exactly like Earth, right? Smokestacks, pollution, gangs in the streets, warfare, warring factions, just this right? Crazy primitive civilization with these ridiculous communication devices, right? We would laugh at them. We're like, man, these people are dumb. Why do we want to hang out here? Let's go find something with some intelligence. We can't help what they're doing. What? You sure you don't want to share our technology with them? I don't think they could handle it. Right now, am I being that crazy? Am I being that nuts with that outlook on it? Not really. I'm not. So if Ike made a deal, he made the best deal that he could.
And when you're a president, you have to think about everyone and for the greater good. And hopefully when he made this deal, if he did, hopefully that was what was going through his mind. Now, Daniel brings up a really good point, and it says Jimmy's story shows it's the aliens who demand the secrecy, and the governments are at their bidding.
Yep.
What's the reason they keep it secret, right?
We can't. I mean, could we? Here's the yeah, and Daniel, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's not about ET coming here and curing cancer, right? Or whatever anybody, that we need to, we need somebody here to save us. Okay, so whatever, fill in the blanks on that. But if it's anything else, technology and things, faster than light, space travel, whatever it is, could we understand at this stage the tech, the knowledge, the math, the materials, and could we honestly sit down and comprehend whatever it is? We're pretty smart here, but probably not. And whatever it is, I don't know if we could understand it, right? Not be trusted with the knowledge or anything else, but you have to be able to understand it. And are we capable of that yet? So what is the use of showing us, okay, this is how you travel faster than the speed of light. Here's the information, but you're not going to understand it for another 1,000 years.
All right. So then what's the point?
What's the point? Now, I don't know, but that's just the way my brain works, Christina.
Well, for me, it kind of reminds me of Predator 2. Because in the plot of Predator 2, where a Yautja came and hunted the criminals and the warlords in Los Angeles. So it's kind of like attracts like in the movie, right? And our warlike ways, I guess I'm surprised that these guys haven't showed up yet. And in the movie, the government was trying to get that alien alive and to get its weapons. So I don't see why that's not happening now.
Well, how do you know that it wouldn't be?
You're right. I wouldn't.
Yeah, and hence the cover up, and the reason for that. Look, I can tell you with certainty that any crash retrieval, anything that is, and it's analyzed and looked at, the first thing out of everybody's mouth. Okay, man, how can we weaponize this? Right? I don't know, man. It's just a glass of liquid. Yeah, but it's probably pretty good to shoot at somebody. Can we figure that out? And that's our mentality, Christina. That's it.
Well, we see everything as a threat.
And what do we? Okay, there was this island. I don't have the name of it in front of me, but there's a protected island off the west coast of India. And that absolute maritime law, no ships can go over the horizon. The indigenous people that live there have never seen a boat. They've never seen a plane. They've never seen a helicopter. They've never, nothing at all. They're just living there, right? And that's it. That's it. No contact. So they had a monsoon, and the craziest severe weather storm that they've had there in decades, and it went directly over the island. So the prime minister of India goes, well, you know what? All right. And it's not. Should we just fly a helicopter over the island and just check on everybody to make sure that they're okay? Right. So they did. Guess what happened? Bows and arrows and spears are shot from the island. The first reaction is we got to shoot that sucker down, right? And they've never seen it before. It's just the way that we think. So flying saucer comes in and flies over Los Angeles. Well, we have the military, we have the National Guard, we have the Air Force, we have missile defense systems, we have all of that. We also got a lot of private citizens with weapons, right?
But the thing is that it would also make you question, because they've never seen helicopters, boats, airplanes. How would they interpret them in their stories, in their legends? Would they say that it's something fantastical? Is it God? Or would they say, no, it's actually equipment from another country on this planet?
Yeah, well, who knows? Nobody's made contact with them. Nobody went down and asked. I can tell you this much: the helicopter turned around. They didn't want any of that action, right? but that's just the way that we react now.
Well, it's the human fight or flight, self-preservation instinct that relates to the survival of the fittest and survival of the weak, children, women, etc.
Now, but let's turn it all around. Okay, these are all great things to talk about, but now let's turn it all around. If ET is heading to this planet and they've been observing us, they already know all about us.
Yeah, they know how we operate, our mentality.
They know about Elvis Presley. Oh, by the way, Elvis was released yesterday on streaming. Yeah.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah, the movie. I did everything in my power last night not to order it. I was like, I gotta go to bed. Okay, so anyway, they know about Elvis. They know our languages. They know our religion. They know our history. They've had nothing but time to study us. And do you know what else they know? That we shoot first.
Yeah, they know our weaknesses.
They know
we know our weaknesses.
Yeah. So they know this. They absolutely. Why don't they show themselves? Because we'll shoot at them. You'll shoot at them, right? Think about that, man. Where's my shotgun? Run back in the house. Come on, my land. That's just the way that we are.
And then you would place it on your wall. Get a taxidermy.
Yeah. Oh, hold on.
Okay. Actually, it's so terrible. I couldn't imagine doing that. There you go.
I bagged and tagged this sucker. But yeah, no, you're and that's ET. Let's turn it around, and I want everybody to understand what I am suggesting here. That ET would absolutely okay. Now let's go into the deep cover up. ET would know about this. They would know about Elvis, Michael Jackson too. And they would know our fears, our hopes, our dreams, our languages, our religion, our history,
our ambitions.
They would know about all of that. And they also know that we would shoot first. And they also know that we don't like anything that doesn't look like us. That's just the way we are, right? We're scared. We freak out. So what would you do? You would show up in disguise.
Like they show in almost every single movie.
Be in disguise.
And Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Resident Alien. I did not like season 2. Loved season 1.
Season 3 starts tonight, by the way.
Does it really?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am. That's my gift to you.
I don't know if I'll watch it. I really did not like season 2.
I did. I liked it. Season 1 was fantastic for sure. It was the cliffhanger of the end of season 2. You remember the party, the dinner party at the cabin?
I actually didn't even finish it.
What?
I just found it a little too risque for me. But going back to the topic of, no, we're not going to get into it. But going back to the topic, just the overall topic of resident alien, you're correct. You have an extraterrestrial. He comes to Earth. He wants to literally destroy Earth, but he has to take a human form to go ahead and walk amongst the people and learn the culture.
Cristina, you're right, but not. Maybe it's not even to destroy the Earth, or maybe it's not even to take over, but just to communicate with us or to do anything without getting shot out of the sky or getting shot at. Just basic communication, you would have to disguise,
right?
You know, or what about?
Well, it's the same way that here on Earth, right? Your enemy wants to look as much like you as possible if you want to infiltrate another country.
Yeah.
Or a community.
It could be what about an android with you know,
a Dalek?
An
Exterminate.
android.
Exterminate.
Well done. Yeah, you know, but with you know, some biological skin over the top, and
right.
So
which our scientists are working on now, creating real skin that can sweat, that can stretch. I mean, that can re-heal itself. Scary stuff.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if you could cook it. No, what I mean is, oh, look at that. Where'd you get that? I have
from my desk. It's a Lego.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, look. Here,
I'm a big fan.
Okay, hold on. Here is.
I'm ready.
A gray alien golfer with his golf stick.
Nice. Do you get those from like the little quarter machines? Because I used to get those, but they were like green and made out of plastic.
And here's a little gray alien football player.
Nice. See, they're learning the culture.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that cool? And hold on. Oh, I got a Lego. Bigfoot.
Oh, nice. Well, if we're showing stuff on our desk, I also have vitamins to, like, you know, not die. And I have scissors. Wow.
Okay, hold on. I have my
glasses.
This is one of my favorite. I've had this for like 30 years or longer.
Ooh.
Hi. Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
I've got like 3 of these from a gumball machine.
See, that's how you do it. I mean, they don't have gumball machines for Doctor Who things. So my mom got me this Dalek, and I've just always loved Doctor Who, and I want the full size one though, preferably the one that I can actually get inside.
Okay.
Move around.
Okay. I'm gonna tell this live on the air. Are you ready?
You've never seen Doctor Who.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Whew.
Look at that.
I'm gonna be sad.
That's one of the ancient alien Colombian astronauts, right?
Nice.
Right? This is a lapel pin, right? I wear it all the time. I stole this from Giorgio. And
I don't think he'd mind. I don't think he'd mind too bad.
And he caught me. So, you know, I was like, he goes, you know, I just got that in. It's the only one that I have. And, so check it out. Right. I was like,
nice.
Right. So anyway, later on that night, I've got it on my lapel and, I'm standing there. Giorgio comes over, sits next to me for dinner. What's up, Jimmy? Didn't he didn't say nothing.
You didn't try covering it up? You didn't try to make up a lie?
No, I was pretty obvious about it. But what I love about him, he didn't say a thing. He's so smooth, man. It was so funny. It was like there was a moment. I know that you know that I know that you know what's going on here.
There you go.
It was really funny. It was really funny. So anyway, that's this is one of my favorite things. I used to show this on the air all the time because I used to use it. Now I just have it on display. but this is my Incredible Hulk.
Oh, nice. That's cute.
You ready?
Yep.
USB drive.
Oh, I used to have those. Not that one, but that one's a pretty cool one. But Jimmy, we got about 9 minutes left. What's the next thing that you want to talk about that is related to the UFO cover-up?
Okay, let's go. Well, I would love to go with Malmstrom because I think that is very important because we've got evidence of that cover up that just happened recently in the Senate or in the House subcommittees UFO hearings. And the reason is where we had two witnesses called to testify from the Department of Defense, right?
Right.
Experts running the investigation for UAPs, right?
Mhm.
Okay. That literally said, Malmstrom, have you heard of that? No, have you? No, I have never heard of it. That's a cover up. Where if the that's a great. Where'd you get that?
The internet.
It's I've heard about this. Anyway, let's stay focused. I'm going to check out the internet later on today and see the the point being, if you're not covering it up, then what should have been said at that point is, no, what is Malmstrom? What happened? That's the answer, right?
I guess maybe time was limited. That they weren't able to just really listen to the questions. They had to give the answers, not ask the questions.
Okay.
Maybe.
Don't cover up for these guys. See, now you're part of the cover up. But that's if you are honestly trying to get these answers and trying to understand what's going on, and somebody says, "Well, what about Malmstrom Air Force Base and the nukes and the Minuteman missiles?"
Mm-hmm.
And you genuinely don't know, then you would say, haven't heard about that. What happened? That's all. Are you concerned or not? Not that. No, no. That's a cover up.
I shouldn't be running the project if I really didn't know the answer.
Well, don't forget about Tim Burchett. And Tim Burchett later, a few minutes after that, blew up in front of the media. He wasn't part of the subcommittee. He was an audience member. And I like this guy, by the way. And to watch him blow up in front of the media, saying that this hearing was a sham, that this is a cover-up by the United States government, and for him to say that, that's exactly what's going on. And so when you have the two witnesses respond like that to something where I would think that an Air Force base with our nuclear missiles, specifically Minuteman missiles, defending this country, has a UFO contact and has the missiles shut down, and you don't know about it, then I think you're going to ask questions like what happened instead of denying that that you don't know anything about it.
Burchett said in an interview that if the public knew what he knew, it would blow up everything. And after this hearing, he had mentioned, quote, "It's a bogus cover up. It doesn't fit, and it's about power and control." And he later states, "I don't trust the Department of Defense to get this right, since leadership there has always been part of a cover up."
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Now, okay, so what do we do when we try to get this out of the way, right? That we can wade through the waters of this cover up, find out what's going on, who's doing the covering up, and what should be kept secret, and I understand that there's some things have to, and then what should be revealed. I would go back. I think one of the first solutions to this is going back to Tim Burchett and calling him out and saying, wait a minute, okay, you're saying that this is a cover up. And you're saying if we knew what you knew, well, what is it that you know? Why don't you start talking now? Why don't you be the first and let's get this out in the open? Because Timberchet can scream about this, and he's correct about screaming about it. But it's another thing about taking the next step in the initiative with that and calling him out on his own statements, and maybe he needs to start telling us what he knows.
It could be very well that he's working at that, but maybe he's just not at liberty to say it just yet. Probably signing an NDA of some kind. But that doesn't mean that he won't be able to speak about it in the future.
Oh, so now I'm matching your RV funds. Does everybody think you remember what your parents said? Am I made of money? What are we rich? Are we rich? Are we made of money?
Thanks, John aside.
You know, RV fund should be sitting.
Which, by the way, your show last night, oh, it was so sweet.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was so sweet.
1,000 big ones I matched. Yeah. Ooh, wow. You know what was funny about that though? And I spoke to Duke today, and I got to tell you, he's a tears of joy. All right. And he had said to me today, and by the way, he thanks everybody. He said that's like the first time in his life he's ever had help. That people just don't care. And I was like, what? And to hear his voice, his tone, that that people, and there are beautiful people in this world. Everybody's not nasty, right? And there are, but he's right. For so many, they go through life invisible, right? They go through life invisible, and they need help, and they're screaming and things, but and that's just not right. And when he said that to me last night on the air, yeah, I was surprised about it. But you know what? It ends tonight, bro. This ends tonight. And so I loved it that I put myself out there publicly, because now I have to deliver in a good way, right? But that's great, because it makes him. I put myself on notice, therefore he knows that this is like for real, and he needs to feel good about himself. That this community is there. It's a family, and that's what we do. We come together, and by calling myself out, right, by doing it live on the air, it allows me to put myself in check for the community. And if you guys put up, and I say I'm going to put up, and we all put up together, then we all, you know what I mean? And to hear that from him today I was like, oh man, it's so funny. I'm like, okay, man, what's your PayPal?
What a great way to end today's show, on a high note, full of love and compassion. Jimmy, thank you so much for being my co-host today, talking about UFO cover-ups. Today is Fader. No, today's Wednesday. Who's on today?
Oh man,
I think it's Thursday.
You
No, it's Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. Tonight is night 3 of Squatch Week. We have William Lunsford, first-time guest, a Bigfoot researcher of 45 years. This is going to be a barn burner tonight. So everybody come by and hang out. No donations.
What's a barn burner?
A barn burner, a big show.
Ah.
Yeah, a barn burner. That's a journalistic term.
I'll make sure to write that one down as well.
Journalistic term. Bye, everybody. I'll see you tonight on the show. Cristina, you're the very best. Thank you so much. Behave. I'll see everybody in 3 hours.
All right. Bye. Charles, thank you so much. It says, amazing show, much love. Make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed today's show, and join the after show chat on the Discord server. The link is below, and I will place it in the live chat as well. I want to say thank you to everyone that watched this live, all my mods, all the super chats, super stickers, YouTube members, and Patreon subscribers. I simply cannot do this show without you. And I would like to let you know that practically everything that comes through goes, almost all of it goes to the RV fund to give you the absolute best content ever. Thank you so much. I want to wish you a wonderful day. Stop by on Friday to catch Strange Paradigms, where myself and Micah Hanks, the co founder of The Debrief, will be joining me covering all the strange weekly news and mysterious headlines from around the world. Definitely don't want to miss it. Be safe and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.